What up, naughty steppers, bass lovers, people of the internet? It's Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and it is time for part 2 of the new mini-series on the channel where I talk about what I feel makes a good dubstep song, which you could kind of rephrase as what I look for in dubstep music generally. The first part I very much put out there just as a set of opinions and ideas, but which actually resulted in a lot of you enjoying it as a sort of help and guidance video. So yeah, here I am making part 2. Just gonna go over 5 more key elements in making what I feel is great dubstep music. All of which, once more, I've tried to make applicable to all kinds of dubstep music and not just a couple of subgenres. And again, if you are a producer, then I hope you can use these as guidelines and tips going forward. Lastly, before I get going, if you do want to check out part 1, then it will be linked in the cards and the end screen. But moving on to the meat of this video, and my first point in part 2 of what I look for in good dubstep music is for it to have a sense of character and direction. I made a point in the first video about variation, and this is an extension of that point somewhat. It comes to the same conclusions, but from a slightly different viewpoint. But as a critical listener, I want to feel like I know where a dubstep song is going, and that it's doing enough to suggest that it has a kind of freedom of its own. It shouldn't feel robotic in a kind of copy and paste way, and it needs a sense of autonomy, otherwise it could just be the same bars on a loop for 5 minutes straight, and where's really the effort or talent in that? Not pointing any fingers here. This often comes through an injection of musicality, a set of new sounds, or a second drop change, just something to make it feel as if it's alive. And you want these developments to sound good, of course, but even if they don't, it's better, in my opinion, than repeating something note for note, sound for sound, from drop to drop, for example, that is absolutely pristine. Basically, for me on this matter, ambition and effort trump sound. It's as simple as that. My second point is about having at least a couple of new and interesting sounds in every song you make. A huge problem with dubstep today, and something you'll see a lot of people complaining about, is that a lot of it just sounds way too similar. The most surefire way to stand out in an overly saturated market is by doing something new, unique, different, things that instantly remind the listener of what you're doing. And this doesn't even have to be wholesale, you know, making a new style altogether is a very, very hard thing, trust me. I know about that. So even throwing a few fresh sounds into every new song you do is massive progress. From there you can build on those sounds more and more and make them more of a signature in your sound and style over time. It's all about finding something different and just constantly refining it. As I mentioned, innovation can be a very difficult thing, so make your change and development an incremental process as opposed to a drastic one, then you will really reap the benefits over time. My third point is about having a good flow and rhythm to your dubstep. A pretty big gripe that I have with a lot of dubstep out there at the moment is that the relationship between all the different elements is very distorted and imbalanced. This results in the flow being impaired, with a load of elements sticking out and taking your attention in different directions in a bad way, when really you want your music to feel like one whole sound and not loads of little ones coming together. And this extends to your ideas as well. You don't want your songs to seem distracted and going off in too many directions. You want them confident and sure of themselves. It's about striking a relationship between all the different elements that you include and making sure that the track moves forward as one and doesn't seem disjointed. And this goes for all sections of a dubstep track. You get dubstep songs that are wild and wacky and work, but they're rare because they're very hard to do. So for the most part, keep it simple and expand from there. Point number 4 is all about layering. Something which is incredibly difficult to get right when you're starting out, and which really I only think gets better over time and with practice. Listen to any of your favourite dubstep tracks closely and you will notice that at pretty much every point they've got a lot going on. Even if it seems like there are only a few sounds, likelihood is that each one of those parts is loads of layers stacked upon each other. If you get the feeling that your music sounds empty, then you're probably right, but that doesn't mean that you have to scrap the whole idea. It just means going back to the drawing board a little bit and building on what you have. It's truly remarkable what goes into making a dubstep song sound complete, so keep listening carefully, bring in new sounds constantly and experiment, and you will get there. And my final point for this video, point 5, and one that I think goes unnoticed quite a lot, is for your dubstep music to have moments of respite or reflection. I want you guys to picture something for a moment. Can you imagine a 3-minute dubstep song that was just one really long drop? That's it. Suddenly, the genre doesn't seem that appealing, does it? Moments of respite and reflection are vital for dubstep music, whether it's an introduction, a mid-section, an extended outro. Basically, I think you need at least one of those in every good dubstep song. And some people might respond by saying, oh, but Connor, doesn't that apply to all kinds of electronic music? And I would say no, actually. I mean, think about industrial techno, for example. That is full on and heavy for pretty much the whole thing, and it works that way. But dubstep today, aside maybe from deep dub, is especially in your face and needs those moments of respite and reflection to appreciate the heavier moments more. It's about striking that balance. A lot of people think about dubstep as purely drop culture, but the sections in between are just as important, and if you get the perfect marriage between those two aspects, then you really are onto a winner. And so that's that for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and perhaps got something out of it, whether it was indeed guidance or whether it was just recognizing what you yourself also enjoy about the dubstep genre. As with the last video though, I want to know from you guys what you think makes a good dubstep song. Anything that I haven't mentioned here, let me know in the comments below. For some other opinion-based kind of videos on the channel, check out the link right here. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know, guys, so be sure, as always, to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.